Hello, my fellow speakers. This is Brian, the speaker for the dead, coming to you today with another video. This is something I've been wanting to talk about for quite a while. Could be a long one because of the subject matter involved. It's going to be just basically a huge overview and maybe a few anecdotal stories thrown in here. So the topic I want to talk about today is it's something I've been seeing a lot on the people I follow on YouTube, is Star Wars. Now, I'm a Star Wars fan, and always have been. Was probably a little bit more into Star Trek, because that's what I saw first. It came out in 1966. Was in syndication when I was a kid, so I saw it on TV before I ever saw anything to do with Star Wars, which came out in 1977. But I remember Star Wars coming out. I'm 45 years old. And I remember my family piling in the car, going into town. At the time, we lived about 50 miles outside of the nearest small city, and going to Idaho Falls, which is where the theaters were at. And we were going to a drive-in, which were really big back in the 70s. And we got into town that night, went to go out to the drive-in, got about 2 miles within the drive-in, and was stopped. There were cars backed up for 2 miles to get in to see Star Wars and whatever else the other double feature was at the time. So like the first night, we were like, well, we're not getting in. I mean, because the movie time came and went, and we're still sitting out on the highway without how many other cars. So my dad, being who he was, he got grumpy and whipped around and did a U-turn, and we headed home. So 50 miles back to home. Everybody's disappointed. Everybody's upset, and my dad planned it out, and we went back the next night, 50 miles back into town. But we went in early, and so we were sitting there ready to go, and there was still a line of cars waiting to get in the next night, because I'm sure everybody who didn't get in the night before had the same thought that my dad did. Well, we're going in there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we ended up sitting there and waiting forever in the car I remember getting out and playing around and stuff while we were waiting for the drive-in to let everybody in again, and then boom, there we go. Then that's the first time I saw Star Wars, and I remember just being, I'm a little tiny kid. I mean, but I remember it. I remember that epic opening scene. I remember the Star Destroyer flying over the top and shooting at the blockade runner and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it was an amazing experience for me as a kid, and it opened me up to even more sci-fi, than I had already been exposed to, and I was already, starting to become a little bit of a fan of Star Trek at that point. I was born in 74, so, I mean, I wasn't that old, but I remember all this, and what a fervor there was around it. And then the same thing with, Empire Strikes Back, and then I really remember the time around Return of the Jedi, because I was really old enough to kind of truly understand what was going on. And it's funny, I saw the original, but I think my favorite out of that original trilogy was Return of the Jedi, because that's the one I really remember best. I was never a huge fan of Empire Strikes Back, and I know that's like the taboo. I like it. It's a good movie, but it was never my favorite. Everybody has their favorites. Everybody likes certain things, and a lot of people hated the Ewoks, and I didn't. I liked the Ewoks. I thought it was kind of an interesting thing, to have this completely untechnological culture trying to take on the Empire along with the rebels, and I thought it was interesting, and I liked it, and I never saw it as a marketing ploy to sell, fuzzy little teddy bear toys and stuff, which I'm sure it was. But you know, as a kid growing up seeing Star Wars, I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it like that. And so I have loved those movies. I don't know how many different times I've watched them. Kind of feel like the guys on The Big Bang Theory, which I'm also a huge fan of that show, and that seems to get crapped on a lot by nerddom, by fandom and stuff. Like, you either love that show or you hate it, and I don't understand why there's such a like a kind of bias against that show. Like, it's like, oh, it makes fun of nerds, and I'm just like, no, it's the first show. I mean, when I first saw Big Bang Theory, I didn't care for it either, but like, boy, it grew on me fast, and now I love it. Because it made being a nerd okay, you know. And I grew up, and I wasn't what you'd call a nerd. I didn't have a real group that I fit into. I kind of floated between all the different groups in high school. I mean, I could hang out with the cooler kids when I wanted. I could hang out with the kids that were at the bottom end of the popularity contest, and I mean, I could hang out with just about anybody and just kind of get along. I didn't really fit into any one category, and so I just kind of floated between groups and stuff. And I liked that. I liked the fact that I could just, you know, I was never one of the cool kids, but you know, I was mildly accepted by them at the same time, you know, because I don't know why. But I didn't have to do the stuff that the cool kids had to do to be cool. I could just kind of float in and out of that group as I wanted. Anyway, that's off the topic here, but that's what, I mean, I was a fan of all these things, and it never prevented me from fitting in with any different group, and so I liked that. But I wasn't over the top about it either. You know, I was a little bit lower key of a fan. I didn't like run around dressing up like that in public and stuff. But I'll tell you what, I mean, we played Lego ships. When Return of the Jedi came out for Christmas that year, I got the Imperial shuttle that was huge. The box for this thing was probably, I don't know, 3 feet by 2.5 feet, and in a cube. And when you held this thing up, you had a handle that you held onto at the bottom, and this ship, I mean, it came clear up to my forearm, you know, not as an adult, but I mean, I was a teenager, approaching teenager at that time. And then it had the wing, you'd click the trigger and the wings would fold down, you know, for the Vader Imperial shuttle. I loved that thing, kept that thing forever. I wish I still had it. It got melted one night by the fire. It's really ticked me off, but I loved that stuff, and I got Star Wars toys for Christmas every year because my parents knew what a kind of a sci-fi nerd I was. I remember getting the Princess Leia from the Jabba the Hutt's palace with the mask, the bounty hunter mask, and everything. Luke Skywalker, and I mean, it was great, and it was a great thing for me to grow up with as a kid, and I was just loved everything about it. You know, it's that lore that you become a part of, and it becomes, you know, part of you, and I loved it. And then you know, years go by, and then the prequel trilogy come out, and the Phantom Menace was awful. I hated that movie. Jar Jar Binks just ruined that movie for me. It was so bad. I mean, I could tolerate it, but it didn't have that same magic feel that that Lucas had found in the originals. And I've heard it said that like people thought it was just like his way of showing off his new technology for you know, industrial light and magic. And I think there's probably a lot of truth to that. But I hated the dumbing down of Star Wars, and the goofy, off-putting humor that I didn't feel like belonged. I mean, it's just like, oh, something's off with this. But there were parts of it that were good. And then the second one rolled around, Attack of the Clones, which I thought was a terrible name. They should have called that one Clone Wars, or you know, the beginning of the Clone Wars, or something like that. They should have done something more like that, Attack of the Clones. And that one I liked, except for the love story part of that. The love story is so forced and so awkward, and Christopher Aiden just, I was like, oh my gosh, who wrote this? It was like written by somebody who'd never fallen in love before. And I mean, and as much as I like the gal that plays Padme Amidala, I just lost her name. She couldn't save that. I mean, it just so the whole first half of that, where the first half there's bits and pieces that I like, but then the rest of it is just like when he gets into the love story and they're on Naboo, and I'm just like, no, fast forward. Did not like that at all. The Revenge of the Sith was probably the best. That's pretty widely seen as the best of the three. But even it had, small issues with it. But I mean, overall, it really kind of felt more like the Star Wars that I was used to. And, and so I kind of like them now, but I still have a hard time watching the first one, Phantom Menace. The best thing about that was Darth Maul. He kind of made that cool, that fight sequence where him and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Qui-Gon Jinn are fighting. That was really well done. It really showed you what you could do with lightsabers in a fight sequence, and it's really well choreographed, really well done. I liked it. And that was one thing in the prequel trilogy that you really saw. You saw way better use of the lightsabers and all that kind of stuff. They've just recently had a guy go back and remake, and I did a video on this. They redid the scene from the original Star Wars, and the fight scene between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it is fantastically good, epically good. The way it was redone. This is just some guy just redid this, and it is definitely worth a watch. You just go back and you're just like, oh, can somebody just please remake re-release the original Star Wars and drop that in there as the fight scene, for that sequence. It would be so good. That guy should be hired by Lucasfilm tomorrow to run Star Wars, because he gets it better than these idiots. He gets it a hell of a lot better than Kathleen Kennedy does. Which brings me to modern day Star Wars. And all I can really say about the modern Star Wars, since the post-prequel, whatever you call it, the next sequel trilogy, was Force Awakens was okay, but it was just, as my older brother put it was just a rehash of the New Hope. I mean, that's all it was. It's just from beginning to, when I first saw it, I didn't really put that together, but it absolutely is. It's like basically, Jar Jar Abrams went and just did shot for shot almost exactly, except in just a horrible way with lesser characters and poorer motivations and bad, and more inept writing and and stuff. But it's okay as a Star Wars film. It's not great. It's a watered down kind of poor man's version of New Hope. And then Rogue One came out, which, full disclosure, I love Rogue One. It is the best Star Wars since the original trilogy. And I know a lot of people were like upset, and they were like, oh, it's just whamming politics. I didn't get that at all. I thought the acting was great, the story was awesome, the characters, the CGI was good, trying to bring, Grand Moff Tarkin back to life. And I mean, yeah, you can tell it's CGI, but it's just like, you have to accept, the guy that played him is dead. And everybody's like, well, you should have just recast it. No, you shouldn't have. They did the right thing. Now, what they did with Princess Leia at the end, they should have just cut that out of the movie altogether. Because they really didn't capture her very well. But Grand Moff Tarkin, I thought they did a good job with him. I thought the CGI for him and the voice acting, that they did. I mean, he sounds almost identical to the original. Just really good, I thought. You can tell he's CGI, but at the same time, you're like, the original guy kind of looked like he was CGI almost. You know, you go back and watch those movies again, you're just like, I'm not sure that guy's real. He's too thin. He looks like he's almost dead. I don't know that he's alive. And so anyway, that didn't bother me. The way that the what they did with Princess Leia at the end, though, that was like, oh, you should have just cut the film right before that, you know, or just showed the back of her, you know, because they just didn't get the face right. I'm just like, how could you do so well with pretty much everything else and then flub it right there at the end? But I mean, still, I love that movie. I give that one like 9.8 out of 10 for a Star Wars film. Because it felt like Star Wars. It felt like the story that they should have been doing this whole time. And I loved it. I thought it was, like I said, I can't say enough about it. That's one I watch over and over and over. And then, you know, that hasn't really happened since the original trilogy. And then this one's going to be tough. The Last Jedi came out. Now, that was the first time I ever walked out of a film so angry, confused, disgruntled. I mean, there really, really are not enough bad adjectives in the English language to describe how much I hate that film. Okay, I've seen it twice. I watched it once in the theater and was so disgusted, and then I swore I would never see it again. And I thought, you know what? You need to be fair to this, because I had my brother tell me, if you go back and watch it again, it's not as bad. I have to disagree with my brother. It's worse the second time around, because then you get to see again all that stuff that pissed you off the first time, and it's just like, oh yeah, because it didn't follow the storyline laid out by Force Awakens. It didn't follow any of those storylines. It just left all that stuff hanging. So like, you might as well not even watch that movie. And the characters were stupid. The politics of 2019 and 2018 and all of that time period, you can tell it's all of this feminist, just foul, awful, freaking horrible propaganda shoved into a Star Wars film where they crap on the original characters, destroy Luke's character, destroy him as a human being, completely make him unlikable and I mean, I felt so bad for Mark Hamill. So bad that he had to watch his character get destroyed. They kill Admiral Akbar like he's nothing, and that, I'm sure you guys have seen videos on how they treated the actor playing him. I mean, just disrespect. And the nastiness of Ruan Johnson. I ruin everything Johnson. I mean, that man should never be allowed near a film camera ever again. He should never work in Hollywood again. He destroyed one of the largest franchises in cinema history. He deserves a lifetime ban from Hollywood and film in general. He should never even be allowed to play an extra in a film, in my opinion. Because what he did, it was his old, I'm going to subvert expectations. No, he ruined everything that was Star Wars. And, you know, and Abrams started us down this trend where suddenly lightsabers are like Harry Potter wands, where they choose the thing and they have memories attached to them. I'm like, when did that start? I don't remember that in the original trilogy. I don't remember being able to project across the galaxy because you're super powerful. I don't remember, you know, dark force users being able to connect people across, you know, time. I mean, just, and then they kill Snoke. I mean, seriously, I could do a 2-hour rant, scene by scene, for that movie. There, like I said, there's almost absolutely nothing in that film that is redeeming at all. the whole fuel thing. We're running out of fuel. We can't get away from the Empire. They've suddenly got a super duper Acme tracker on their ship. We can't get away. And we're going to try and shoot off these little pods. And this psycho chick, she's going to be a ditz the whole movie. Crap on Poe Dameron and bitch slapping him down because women know everything. And that's all you see. All the leadership in the resistance, not the rebellion, because they can't say that word because that's too much like the original. The resistance is all run by women because they made sure to kill off every male character that might have had anything to do with the leadership role. Kill Akbar, kill, everybody. Just kill off. Kill. Till there's nothing left but women. And then we're going to have the women make these asinine, idiotic decisions that everybody sits back in the theater going, this is why you don't put women in charge. I mean, that movie made women look bad. They didn't make them look good. Made them look incompetent and stupid and emotional and overbearing. And it's like the worst characteristics of women were brought out in that film. It's awful. They make men look stupid and incompetent, and which is only overshadowed by the incompetence of the women characters. Princess Leia walks in and shoots one of her own people. Okay. No. Just, I don't know. There is not enough bad to say about that. And then we got Solo. I thought Solo was okay. I really like the guy that they got to play Han Solo. I like him as an actor. I liked him in Beautiful Creatures. I like him. I think he's a really good actor. I was really excited when they cast him to play this role. I was like, oh, awesome! And then the way they wrote him, and the way that, I thought he did a great performance, but he had to do what was in the script, which wasn't really Han Solo. It was a watered down, feminized version of Han Solo, where the chick in the movie is his girlfriend's more of a man than he is. And I'm just, the politics of current day being shoved into everything where they don't belong is just ruining everything. And it's getting worse by the day. Female Thor, female this, female that. It's just like, okay, alright. And I'm walking away from all this stuff. Anything where they're trying to shove their little current day politics of transgenderism, homosexuality, and any other alities and maladies and validities and deformities and whatever that people are trying to use as creating yourself as an ethnic group to special rights for you because you're hard of hearing. And it's like, you know what? I feel for people who have hearing issues. I feel for the people who are disabled in some way or abled, because we've got to change all the words now for feelings. And it's just like, we used to aspire to be more than we are. Not everybody just be okay with being pathetic and worthless and valueless. And if today's standards were in effect during the time of Helen Keller would have never amounted to anything because she'd had people, fawning over her and mollycoddling her, and she'd have never amounted to anything. She'd have never be. We wouldn't even know who Helen Keller was if our politics of today were in effect back then. There would be no Abraham Lincolns. There would be no George Washingtons. There would be, I'm sure the left would, or progressives and people in politics today, right and left would, be just delighted with that. I mean, how dare we have a strong male character who helped form the backbone of a nation? I mean, whoa. Now, I know this is seeming to diverge off of Star Wars, but it's not. Because Star Wars is just one of the latest victims in the current political climate, where everything we've loved is being destroyed, twisted, ruined, used as a propaganda tool to beat us over the head with. It's so sad to see this happening. I mean, Star Wars has fallen, Star Trek has fallen, Marvel is on the chopping block next, because we all know they're going full woke with Thor and all this other stuff. They're trying to tell us now that although we've had 60 years of Spider-Man comics where he's never been gay, now they're going to make him gay and stuff so that people see themselves in Spider-Man. You have to have him be gay to do that. You have to have him identify with you. So we need a disabled one, and a black one, and a green one, and an Indian one, and an American Indian one. And I mean, really, we're going to do this? Where if somebody doesn't look like you can't learn anything from? Good Lord. I have taken valuable lessons my whole life from people who don't look anything like me. Geronimo. I have great respect for the Indian Chief Geronimo and Chief Joseph. I have great respect for Booker T. Washington. I have great respect for Nelson Mandela. Don't agree with all of his politics, but he was a good leader. Reverend Martin Luther King, great hero. My absolute all-time hero, Jesus Christ, who is Jewish. I'm not Jewish. He's saying I can't learn something from Jesus Christ because I'm not Jewish. There's been so many people down through history that don't look anything like me that I can learn from, that make my life better. I don't have to have them identify perfectly with me in every aspect of their life to be impressed by them, to be inspired by them. And if that's what you have to be, you're a narcissistic psycho, and you should be put out of your misery because you think everybody has to look like you, or they're not valid, or they're not meaningful, or whatever. I mean, what a narcissist. Wow. How much time do you spend making out with the mirror every morning, you psycho? Oh, I love me. I'm so good. I'm so me. Oh, well, Ewan McGregor doesn't look exactly like me, and he's not gay, so... Ew. Judas Priest. Anyway, tell me what you think about this. Tell me how you feel about Star Wars. I'm keeping an open mind about Rise of Skywalker. It's coming out this year. Because I want to have that hope that maybe they can turn this around, that maybe they can learn lessons of the past and realize that they really screwed up and try and bring Star Wars back around and resuscitate it. Because at this point, it's dead. It's dead. But they're still doing CPR and they could bring it back to life. The question is, will they? Is Rise of Skywalker the shock paddles that are gonna bring Star Wars back to life? Clear. Or is it, or have they got the voltage turned up so high that it's basically turned those things into an electric chair that's going to finish Star Wars off for good? I hope not. I hope that they have learned something, but I don't know. They've written themselves and boxed themselves into a corner with this sequel trilogy, and I just don't see how they can get out of it in one movie. I just don't see how it's possible. Especially with Abrams being just, I used to really get excited when I heard J.J. Abrams was going to be involved in something, and now I just dread the sound of his name in anything because he ruined Star Trek for me. The most amazing thing and the most special fandom to me in my entire life was Star Trek. As much as I love Star Wars, Star Trek was always my first love of things that were inspiring to me when I was growing up, things that I connected with. And he's crapped all over that. He has destroyed Star Trek. He has left people in place all over the Star Trek community that continue to destroy Star Trek. Now they're going to wipe out Picard. It's just, So I don't think this guy can save it because I don't think he knows how. I think all he knows how to do is chew up somebody's intellectual process and vomit it back out and hope that it's Picasso instead of just a pile of ugh. So anyway, tell me what you think. Do you agree? Is Star Wars dead? Can they bring it back to life? Are you excited about the next movie? I'm trying to be excited, but I'm scared that they're gonna kill it for good. And then they're still talking about Ruan Johnson getting another trilogy to completely, I mean, just at this point, if they do that, they're just sodomizing the corpse. That's all it is. It is just disgusting. It is just necrophiliacs screwing Star Wars after it's dead. And so we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic. Sorry for the graphic visual image there, but there's no other way to describe it. What they're doing, what they have been doing. They're crapping on the fans, running people down who disagree with them. It's sad. It's sad to see things going this way. So let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about the future of Star Wars. Hope you like this video. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. All of those good things. And I am glad that you spent some time with me today. I really enjoy doing these things and seeing your comments. I've gotten a lot of comments and interest in my Alita videos. Most of it saying that I'm wrong, so I'll be curious to see how this video goes. Anyway, get out there and have yourselves a great day. Make something good happen in your lives today. It's a beautiful day where I'm at, so can't complain. It ain't snowing yet, so that's all that matters. Anyway, have yourselves a great day. We'll talk to you next time.